Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's BDL44. Just paying attention to what's going on in Afghanistan. Uh, and, from my limited perspective, I don't know much about nothing at all. But I'm listening and learning. I made a video yesterday talking about how I felt like our extraction display, what we saw, the images that we saw were horrifying. And I felt like there was an easier way to handle, not easier, but probably a much more effective way to assure that did not play out in the form that it did. Maybe you can't keep everyone from running onto the airfield. Maybe you can't stop that from happening necessarily, but there are things you can do to assure that doesn't look the way that it did. You leave at night. You set up different things that are much smarter than anything I'm coming up with to put yourself in a position to at least cut back on some of what we saw there. There are things, even if it's not the most effective stuff possible, something else could be done. I'm certain of that. But what I'm seeing right now, something totally different. I'm seeing something totally different. Now, I listen to what the news says, right? I listen to them. I know that there are things I'm supposed to understand. Taliban have taken over. They're bad guys. They've always been bad guys. We should be ashamed of our country for leaving and abandoning the Afghanistan's people, but they should be ashamed of themselves because they're not fighting a war that we trained them for. All of the stuff that the media is telling me to believe, half of that stuff doesn't even add up, to be honest with you. It's like two conflicting stories as it pertains to, should I be mad at my president for leaving, or should I be happy that we left? Should I ignore that we left the way that we did because it was unavoidable, or should I believe those who are saying that it was very much avoidable and have the outrage that I feel? It's all a bunch of bull crap, to be honest with you. As far as I can tell, I don't believe nothing from what I see from the media. But what I do believe is what my eyes are telling me. I'll tell you what I'm seeing. This is what my eyes tell me. I'm seeing people who have relied upon the U.S. forces for safety against the enemies that they have known to be oppressors and murderers and maimers and rapists and all of the different things that the Taliban have been described as being. That is something that has been told to us for 20 years. We've been told for 20 years we need to fear the Taliban here. And I'd imagine that over there they have a different set of understanding, or maybe even the same understanding of those people and what they're actually about. The thing that I question is whether or not I should trust the media as it pertains to the pictures that they paint about people, because in other areas where the same formula is applied, they exaggerate or flat out lie about people and the pictures that they paint about them. So if I'm going to look at how they treat others, and then I look at how they treat this subject, and I realize that they are no more to be trusted in this conversation than the other. Okay, so that's how I view the media as it pertains to this country. Both sides, liberal and conservative. Same difference to me. They have their own way, own agenda as it pertains to what it is they're about. They have their own people that they're affiliated with who have agendas as well. I'm not moved by the pictures that they describe to me about others in groups and stuff like that. I come from a group that they tend to have propaganda about, and I know how true they are, though that propaganda is, and how exaggerated that propaganda is. So that's what I go by. So as far as them telling me about the Taliban and the Afghan people and who I should trust and who I shouldn't, nah, I don't trust them. That's where it starts. For me, in this conversation, though, as I look and I see what's going on from the perspective that they allow me to see, and I try to look at other media forms from other countries, particularly BBC. They tend to be the news source that my international buddies tell me is a little more comparable to the stuff that they believe that they're hearing in other places, from places that they're from. They say they rely on BBC for their news, so I've been told to do that. Anyway, not important. What is important is this. What I'm seeing is Taliban, who possibly are trying to appear as if they are ready to play Western ball. What I mean by that is they want to be a little more communicative with us. They want to try to do as best they can to try to understand where we're coming from. They want to be business partners with the Western world. That is what I see. Now, do they have some diabolical plan to do the worst stuff in the world? If I'm to believe you, of course they do. Then again, do I think that we, the Americans, have some of the worst ideas, some of the worst things that we're trying to do? And yes, I think the worst of our American government. I really do. I think they're both bad guys. Probably both bad guys, right? So look at it like this. If you're me, I'm looking and I'm saying, okay, Taliban are, as soon as they got here, they're talking about they're going to allow women to, to have a say-so within reason. They're going to allow for a little more conversation. They want to let people know that they're not in danger. Everybody who wants to be in Afghanistan should be able to be there without any trouble from them. They are going to basically try to make it so that place is not a terrible place to live. It's like they for the last 20 years they've been at war. Now listen to what the pressure was from the guy that represented them. He was just saying at war, there was a lot of killing going on, but it was because we were at war. It wasn't because we were wanting to keep that killing going. We are happy the war is over, just like we'd imagine the other side is, that kind of thing. That's what I got from what dude was saying. So I look at it and I say, okay, regardless if they're looking to dupe all of us for whatever reason or not, I'll tell you what I know for a fact. This is what I know. Over the past 20 years, they were dealing with us, the strongest army in the world, driving them into places that they probably didn't want to be in for 20 long years while we stood strong. Okay? They don't want to deal with us no more, man. I don't care what the truth is about what their intentions are. They do not want the Yankees coming back to that land, making shit hard on them. They don't want to die. They don't want no more of their guys to die at our hands. They don't want to fight us no more. So even if they want to terrorize their own people, they going to say whatever they got to say to keep us from pointing our guns back at them for another 20 years. You got to understand what they want, okay? Now, when they sure we go away, then they can get back to business as usual, treating their women crazy, doing all the evil stuff that they do, right? But as long as they wondering if we gonna come flying back across the, into their mountains again, messing with their stuff, killing their guys off and driving them into poverty, forcing them into spaces they don't want to be in, nah, they're not gonna be able to do what it is that they do. And most importantly, the world has changed. The internet turned on in the last 20 years. Everybody got devices in the last 20 years. When this war started, there wasn't no phones like this in my hand. There wasn't like that going on. They've had communication with people just like we've had. They've been trying to set up deals and trying to learn to dream and stuff like that, being exposed to things that they had never seen before through these devices just like the rest of us. Stuff they had never heard of, they are now aware of and probably fans of. That's what 20 years did to the whole world. You think the Taliban wasn't a part of that? You think they didn't get some taste of that? Of course they did. The whole world has, to some degree. And most importantly, they understand, just like the rest of us, if you don't get on board, life is not sustainable. You can't just look at the internet like, oh, no, it's not going to affect us. No, it's coming. Believe you me, technology is going to invade every single corner of this earth eventually. Anybody, any indigenous peoples, y'all gonna be feeling the industrial movement or rather the technological movement of devices soon enough. Internet will hit them soon. So if you understand that the environment around the Taliban has changed, you understand that they've been at war for 20 years against people they don't want to fight, regardless of why, right? Then you understand why they are showing a display of, hey, we're not taking ourselves crazy serious. We're doing bumper cars. We're taking pictures in the weight room. We want you to know that what you guys are on, we at least want to know what it's about. So if I'm to look at that, as an American citizen all the way over here, if I'm to take that image for what it's worth, do you know what I've learned? I've learned that whoever you say they are, they not trying to show me that. They not trying to show me that. I tell you what I also understand. There's a country full of people who are terrified of those people, can't wait to get the hell away from them. And that's a justifiable understanding because of whatever they've been through with those people, coupled with the propaganda that you've been telling us all about those people. They want to get the hell away from them. That part is not lost upon me. There are interpreters, people who are telling us that their lives are in danger. They believe their lives are in danger. Their lives are in danger. I believe that too. But what I also know is the leverage that the rest of us have is what I just got through saying. That they don't want to deal with us. We made it easy on them by getting the hell up out of there. That's what the U.S. did. You made it easy on whoever to do whatever, but most importantly, in that same breath, you left those people to deal with who they fear, and you left those that they fear to deal with them. All this running, scurrying, terrified, that is not what the leadership over there would like the image to be either. They are telling us they want people to chill, feel good about being in the country, and that they're going to try to assimilate as best they can. If that's what they say, and the last thing they want is all of this. They don't want this. Did they invade, quote unquote, invade the country and take over the government? Yes. We checked out of the hotel they checked in. That's all that happened there. Just keep it real. Let's just be honest. Ain't nobody invade nothing. We got out the way, left everything we were going to leave behind, and they picked it all up, sat down in the room, and proceeded to talk, communicate. That's what they did. They didn't sit up here, take nobody's body and chop some head off and say, okay, some crazy stuff. No, they're saying, look, we know crap's been crazy in the past, but we've been dealing with it for the last 20 years just like y'all. We just as tired as y'all. Now we just want to start living. We want to thrive. We want to make some money. We want to do our thing in the way that we do it. We want to pray in the way that we do it. We're going to do the best we can to make ourselves as palatable for y'all, but we are still who we are. And we're going to do it the way we do it. I don't have no problem with that. As an American citizen, I ain't got no problem with that. They have to prove that what they're saying is true now. Just like every government of any kind. They got to now show and prove. And if they turn out to be corrupt like the rest of the world's governments, then so be it. If they ain't learned from the last 20 years of what it is that they're going through, then so be it. Then we get to swoop in and do all that we've been doing for the last 20 years, making life as difficult for them as possible, if that's what y'all want to do. But my thing is this. The chaos that we're seeing doesn't have to happen, because I don't think they want that. The guys who just took over, I don't think they want that. I don't think they're interested in having no Holocaust. If they were, it'd be a lot more people dying in them streets. What you're seeing is chaos because people are running from them because they're afraid they're about to have a Holocaust. That's what you're seeing. You're seeing people running from them because they know of them to be that way. That's what I'm seeing. Justifiable fear. But if they do things the right way and continue on the same path in terms of staying close to that image that they're trying to have, that they're not taking themselves too seriously and are willing to assimilate and all of that, then I'm optimistic that they can earn the trust just like any other government will have an opportunity to earn the trust. So when I hear that China and Russia or whomever is looking to do business with those people and how they're moving, it's because they're putting forth the message that they're willing to do business with them. They're willing to listen. And so, as a free thinker with very, very limited understanding of any and all things, all I can say is the images that I'm shown versus what the message is. Seems like there's a huge opportunity for communication. It seems like the chaos and the running around in the streets can be curbed by a image of the U.S. reaching out to the new regime and having a real adult conversation, a real formal conversation with him. That's what I think our president should be willing to do. I don't think we should be too afraid to sit down with their leadership at this point. You've been fighting the people for 20 years. You can't sit down and talk to them? That's my thing. You can sit up here and paint them out to be the worst people in the world. Maybe they are. Hey, I'm not ruling that out. But what I'm saying is, now it's time for us to show that we are not. You just had a plane take off with people flying off of the back of it because they were afraid of these people. The least you could do is stand in front of these people, find out what the hell they're talking about. All this talk about, oh, they're not willing to fight. They're not willing to fight. Okay, we established that. They don't want to fight. Fine. Does that mean we need to be leaving like this? Because this ain't the way we need to be leaving. This is a bad look for the U.S. And like I said, if those guys came in there saying, yo, we coming to destroy the world. Hey, we don't care what you think. We took over, haha, putting flags up. We tearing stuff up. Everything's burning. People getting shot as they run. That's a different story. What I'm seeing is they having a hard time controlling the chaos in the streets. What's been reported is that they shooting bullets over people's heads. Hey, guess what? They ain't learned the protocol of how to handle people running in the streets terrified of them. They don't have the 400 years of riot control experience that the U.S. has. They're doing the best they can to control a chaotic situation. That's what I see. Call me naive. I have to be naive to stay in this country and believe my own government. So I'm not going to sit up here and believe what my media tells me about people I don't know. What I do know is I remember what my ancestors said about fighting in the Vietnam War. And they got over there, they was fighting people they didn't have no business fighting. When they put the guns down, they ended up having families over there. A lot of the population now is mixed with African American because my people didn't leave Vietnam. They found families and they stayed there. They were fighting people they would fall in love with. Meanwhile, getting treated like dirt over here by people they fighting for. As an African American, I can't afford to just listen to what they tell me and say, yeah, them people are exactly what they said. I can't do that. I got to look at the Taliban just like I would look at me and say, well, there's a couple guys over there who are probably really decent, even though they were raised in an environment that wasn't so good or raised by some people that wasn't so savory. At the end of the day, there's some reasonable people in every group. I've learned that. Some of them are afraid to speak out. I've learned that too. Some of them may even fight their way to the top to have some say-so in what happens, which is why we may be seeing tolerance within those people, or at least in the display that they're talking about. Somebody up there wants to play ball. Even if everybody ain't on board, there's somebody who is. People who are able to see this the way that I'm seeing it, I want you to understand that I'm not saying that the Taliban are great people. Again, the people who say they're in danger believe they're in danger, and I have no reason not to believe that. But what I'm saying is there are a lot of reasons why they may be in danger, and I think there's something that our U.S. government can do about it, and it doesn't come in the form of strikes. It doesn't come in the form of coming in a thief in the night and snatching up people and flying them out of here. That's not how you do it. You sit down, you have a gentleman's conversation with those people like you would do any other nation. You find out what they're talking about. And if you walk away from that conversation not convinced that the people are safe, then you do what you need to do to strike and get people out of there. But as long as we're acting like we're too afraid to sit there and talk to these people, or like they're not civilized enough to have conversations with us, we're going to be the bad guys who left the people with them. We're going to be the bad guys who left people who were relying upon us with them, empowering them with guns and an army bigger than anything that they would have had if we weren't in their presence for the last 20 years. I'm sorry. America looks horrible. Now, I'd be lying if I said I was proud of that. But you can just add that to the list of a million different things that maybe we should have did differently as a nation. Okay, to say the least. But what the difference is just like I've been saying, is the devices. Someone like myself has a say-so. I can say, maybe I'm naive for saying this, but I think we should have a conversation with the Taliban. If we don't like what's said, fine. Walk away, get back to it. Question is, do I trust our representatives to go there with the right intentions? And the answer is, I do not. My president just left people sitting there, abandoned people that trusted us. As far as I can tell, we the bad guys. which is why I, as an American citizen, am speaking the way that I am. I'm ignorant. I don't know if I'm right or wrong. But what I am saying is I don't trust nothing but what I see. But what I see is people who are trying with a bad reputation, who will have to live with the results of that reputation as the chaos around them is as it is. Everybody's afraid of you. It is what it is. But just like anybody else who don't want to be feared anymore, you got to be consistent in your message. You got to be consistent in your tolerance. And you got to be slow to anger for the display, if nothing else. My name is BDL44. I wish the best for everybody, especially those in danger and those in power who don't know what to do right now. That's what I got. BDL44. I'm out.